If I had a dime for every time people told me, but we can't see that on you. We can't see that you have
Oh.
PTSD, or we can't see
Mm.
that you have chronic fatigue syndrome. You don't look sick, or, how many times over the years I heard that, oh, we can't see that you have gone through so much abuse, or, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you look so this and this and this. In a lot of ways, I carried a lot of those masks.
That's how we came in, we with our soul as a compass, and then along the way, shit's piled on and you can't see it. And so that's the big work.
The animals are actually one of the best teachers for us. They
Makes a lot of
teach
sense.
us so much about ourselves, our habits. A lot of people are underestimating how much they understand. They understand everything we say, our thoughts, our emotions, our energies. And they just want us to evolve. They want us to heal. They want what's best for us.
They're so pure. They're so pure.
And they are very wise souls.
Okay, so I am just doing a quick little intro here. This is my first guest episode. I am so excited for you to listen to it. It's long and juicy and amazing. I'm sitting with a friend of mine, a soul sister, if you will, that I met when I was taking my Akashic Records certification. Her name is Madelene. She is absolutely magical, and that's her Instagram handle at Madelene's Magic. Go follow her. She's amazing. Anyway, this is just us chatting, and I really hope that you enjoy it. There's so much in here, and yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so excited. And I appreciate it so, so much. You're the first guest. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to start just by asking if you could talk to us about how you got here. What do you do? What's your journey to how you work with clients and just your spiritual journey in general?
Well, my spiritual journey, I've actually always had gifts, but I kind of blocked them out when I was
Mm.
younger because they scared me so much. I was seeing, and hearing things and feeling things I did not understand. And when you have nobody to talk to about it, and
Yeah.
you're a little child, it's scary. And you think of yourself as this, okay, I must be some kind of freak because,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
seeing and feeling things that others don't. And I started having all this, like, the clairvoyant is like the maybe the strongest clear for me of seeing,
Hmm.
and at least the one that I kind of started having when I was a kid, very, very young. And of course, when all you see is kind of um warnings, or stuff that isn't on the pretty side of things, uh it's not easy, and I felt
Oh
like I
my
had
gosh.
control over
That's the
it.
kind of stuff that you were seeing, like prediction type of things.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I
How
saw a lot
old
of
were you?
um my grandmother actually told me that I was describing things that was gonna happen in kindergarten.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so that was like in gonna
Yeah,
happen in the future. And so she already knew, and she's spiritual.
got it.
But yeah, so she's very open to it. So she already saw that in me very young. But yeah, the older I got, I started seeing things like accidents,
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
I saw, you know, uh cheating, lying, people, yeah, exactly when it was happening, where, and yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. So
That's heavy.
yes,
Yeah,
so I
you're
was
like, yeah,
never
this
like,
isn't the fun stuff yet. I'm not, I'm not at the fun stuff yet.
yeah, and I was like, I have no control over this.
Right. It's just
I-
flooding in.
Yes, and today I know I'm an empath. I know, that I feel also people's emotions. I have the clear
Mhm.
sentient. I have gotten to know more of the clears, but I didn't back then. And I think looking back at my childhood and young years, understanding how I just took everything in, like, sponge,
Right. Yeah.
and was like crying for no reason. I was like, why am
Oh
I
my
sad? Or,
gosh.
yeah,
Yes.
all these like emotions. And now I'm realizing how I was always like feeling, into like family, or like when you went
Mhm.
into a room, how I was always sensing, the
Wow.
today I'm kind of looking back and understanding a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to like excuse me, when there's you don't understand the energetic hygiene of it all.
Oh yeah.
You,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Or it's like the tap is just always on and you're like, "Why am I feeling so out of it all the time?" It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, what? Okay. So
So,
then
yeah, so I think in my teens, I was like, I felt like I had no control, but I was also pretty scared because, I was having these like spirits, coming to me, or was in my family home, or, and I was feeling all this stuff. I was experiencing all these like, uh paranormal things. Isn't that how you call
mhm.
it? Like, stuff
Mhm.
like that. And it was so scary because I had nobody to talk to. But then my awakening journey started like a lot more when I was uh, just out of nowhere. I got really, really, really sick
Mm.
in 2010. So that became a huge journey for me, where I had to step away from kind of the box of, studies and having three jobs, and,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah. And I was just 20. I was still figuring out my life. And
Gosh.
I got a chronic disease. And that made me go through all this.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like a
So that,
catalyst kind of thing.
yes. And I met a wonderful mentor then, a healer. He passed away 2 years later, unfortunately, but he helped me start understanding my gifts.
Right.
He helped me start understand that some of the things that I was like feeling was actually past lives and memories coming up,
Oh my
and
gosh.
into mediumship and healing.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, so he became like my mentor in the whole journey of it. And so
Yeah.
from, yeah,
That's amazing. Okay, so for the listeners, Madeline and I met, excuse me, I'm like clearing my throat. There's so much
that's okay.
happening.
Yeah.
No, it's, I'm like, oh my gosh, feeling the vibes. But anyway, Madeline and I met in an Akashic Records certification class. And so I would love to hear how you discovered the Akashic Records.
Yes. Oh, I think I've been for like actually my entire life. I could say for 15 years, but actually I feel like my entire life I've been searching. Like I've been searching for
Mm.
a path. I've never figured out what the heck am I here to do?
Yeah, right.
Why am I here on this earth? Because it's
Yeah,
not
the
working at all.
age-old question.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been always, since I was a little kid, looking up at the stars, feeling like, okay, I belong out there
Mm.
somewhere. I don't belong here.
Oh my gosh. That's so
So
cool.
I went through some really, really challenging things around 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And it brought me on this path of questioning a lot of things. It brought me on a lot of paths I hadn't taken a look at before.
Hmm.
And then I discovered Debbie Solaris and her galactic, with the star seeds and, all that, and the galactic Akashic Records. So I signed up really early. Jump ahead. I signed up to her course a year ago. And actually, that was 1.5 years ago. And I did her course yeah, in the spring.
Hmm.
And but it was super exciting and great, but I
Yeah.
felt like we weren't really learning the Akashic part. We
Oh, I
were
see. It was more just galactic
Yes,
stuffs.
it
Yeah,
was it was a lot of like the history and a lot of the galactic stuff, but I was like,
got it.
what about the
Right. But what are the records, girl?
yeah, what about the records? Because I was like,
Yeah.
through everything that I went through and all this, like going through another, because I've been through like countless of dark nights of the souls,
Mm. Hmm.
dark nights of the soul. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so going through that, I was like feeling like my old self was really dying, and I was,
A
being,
lot of rebirths
yeah,
type.
a
Yeah.
lot of rebirth. So I was going through that, and I was like, just my guides were coming in. I was connecting a lot more with my spirit guides and through everything. And I was like, okay, but I feel like there's this piece missing,
Hmm.
huge piece. So I did that course, and I was like, but what I am searching for is, I know I'm on the
Yeah.
right path, but I wasn't really getting the Akashic there. So a friend of mine, Anita, that
Hmm.
was in class, she found Emily last
Love
summer.
it.
And then all this stuff happened that opened up an opportunity for me to join in. And I was,
Love
when I
it.
saw that, when she mentioned it, and I found Emily, it was so many emotions for me. I was like,
Mm.
it was like something within me just had to take that class. It was like
Yeah.
almost painful to think that I couldn't
Yeah. Oh
join.
my gosh.
It was more like a calling than just a.
Absolutely. I love
And
that.
so when we joined that, I had this feeling like this is going to be life-changing.
Hmm.
And I really loved how we were a smaller class, and all the
Yeah.
women
That was
there
so
were
cool.
so amazing, such a
Hmm.
beautiful container. And I had this strange feeling when I think it was in the beginning, she said that some people in class may trigger you, or some people may, you may have some past lives here with this person. Or I was like, yeah, okay, I'm excited to see where this is taking us,
Totally.
and then she, put us in the breakout rooms, and then we were in two breakout rooms, you and I.
Yeah.
And then we were supposed to have this accountability partner and, do sessions for each other before our exams.
Right.
And she partnered us, and I was like, okay, this
Right.
is,
Something is happening here.
yeah, this is like something bigger. So yeah,
Yeah,
how
that was
was
so
your
cool.
experience with the journey
It
like?
was, it's so interesting for me to hear people talk about being so clairvoyant from such a young age, because that it is not my experience.
Yeah.
But I will say I have always I've always been the same, if that makes sense. And I feel like for whatever reason that feels important to say, like I've always known very deeply that I was here to do something specific. And I don't know that that's always the case for people, you know what I mean, from when they're young. Like I remember just being obsessed with books. And I just would sit in love and I would just thumb through the pages and I'm smelling books as a child. Like, I was reading in the dark. I was reading at the dinner table. I was just walking around and reading all the way up till college. I mean, I would do that now if I didn't have three young children running around. And sometimes I try to do it. I always have a book around when I'm walking
Yeah.
around the house and I'm like, who am I kidding? Am I going to read this right now? There's no way.
Have
Someone's,
it in the headset instead now.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, the audiobook's going.
Yeah.
But and I yeah, and I always had notebooks and things like that and making my mom buy me planners. I'm like 11 years old and what are you planning? There's nothing to plan. She's like another and God bless her, she did it. You know what I mean? But it was just that idea of, and now thinking back, it's like just wanting to record things, being a writer, wanting to just record whatever, my thoughts, what I'm seeing in the world, what's going on around me, things like that. And then finding the Akashic records, and it's like that's what they are. It's the record of all that is. And feeling so connected to them, it was like, oh my gosh, I've always been this way. I've always been wanting to be a record documenter or something like that. Just something there's no name for it. That's how I've always kind of felt.
Mhm.
Um, and I've always been pretty intuitive, I think. or maybe I should say it this way, I've always just gone with how I've felt.
Yeah.
And maybe I think you could call it intuition, although sometimes I would say that I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. But when you're in high school and college, that's kind of what you do. You're just like flying around. Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. And also, I was a basketball player, so that was very regimented. And so,
Yeah.
in other aspects of my life, I kind of liked to just do whatever I wanted to do because I was so boxed in this one thing. And I could see the trajectory, right? It's like my parents, okay, you're playing on this team. Okay, you're going to try out for this team. Fine. Then now you got to take it all the way. You better go get a scholarship and play in college. You got to do the whole thing. And so I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So everything else is free game. And but it's really interesting because there were two big moments for me looking back now that I can see as super clear, like Claire situations. And the first was when I got the opportunity. I was gonna, what is it? What do they call it? I was gonna commit to a college. So I had been offered a scholarship to play, and I was gonna commit to Loyola Marymount, which is the school by LAX. And it's Division One, and it was 20 minutes from my house at the time, and my other two options were University of Oregon and University of Washington, which were both further away, not too far, and they were also in really rainy places.
Yeah.
And something in me, both of my parents went to University of Oregon. That's where they met. My dad played football there. And so that's where they wanted me to go. I had a sweater that was University of Oregon. I was like, that's where I'm going to go. How cool is this? Whatever. It was in the better league, quote unquote, at the time. Maybe not quote unquote. It was just in a better league. But I for whatever reason, I just knew for a fact. I was like, if I go to either one of those schools, I will not make it out of there. I just knew for a fact because I was really depressed at the time. I wasn't doing well emotionally. I was doing fantastic basketball wise, but I was doing so poorly in every other aspect, right? And I knew if I went to those schools, I just wouldn't make it. And so I decided to go to LMU. And that was one of the first really big turning points for me where I listened to whatever that knowing was. And then the second one was when I met my husband for the first time. And I saw him in an acting class. I know we met in an acting class, of course, which is so LA and hilarious. But we met in an acting class,
Mm.
and he went up on stage, and it was a really small group. It was a 2-year program, Meisner program. So it was very insular, and you had to interview to get in, like, because we're up there bearing it all, right? And he went up, and I just heard a voice in my head say, "That's him. That's your husband." I know, I know.
Skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like looked around, like, did anybody hear that? That was crazy. And it was so bizarre. I was in a relationship at the time that had been ending for months. It was like one of those things where I
Yeah.
moved all my stuff out, but we keep doing the thing and blah, blah, blah. And I heard that voice and I was like, well, that's that. That was like the thing, the catalyst of just, okay, no, it's over.
Yeah.
You've known it was over. It's time to pack it up. And I did immediately after that. And that was the second, like, really big, oh, something else is kind of happening here. And my husband has always called me psychic. We've been together for 11 years, and he's always just been, I don't know, you're the psychic, you're the psychic. And it was just a joke, but there was something. Yeah, exactly. It was like, yeah, something's happening here, and you're dialed in. But
Yeah.
taking the class with Emily, like you said, it changed me. It changed my whole life,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think that first of all, Emily is a really wonderful mentor. I would
Yeah,
like top 3.
right.
teachers. She's
So good.
amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. And she creates this safe space and really helps everyone in the class blossom and evolve. So I think that she has created some amazing courses. And I do understand the whole process because, like, when you're young and you're going through, my young years too, before my
Hmm.
health just said stop, it was so much trauma. It was like so dark,
Yeah.
so much pain. And now today I am understanding it, the whole nervous system and, living
Right.
fight all the time, living in so much trauma all the time. And I went through so much. So, for me, I was like, yeah, people keep talking about like universities and that I have to get a, yeah, okay, but I don't know what I want to do yet.
Yeah.
And, when you're like, going through a lot as well and you're supposed to find yourself and everything on your inside is just we're
Not aligned with that. Yeah.
yeah, we're just going through so much stuff. It's just for me, I'm like, oh well, no wonder my health just said,
Plummeted.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
we're
totally.
gonna hit the brakes here.
Yeah,
So
right, right, right.
but at the same time, I think that I have been on many journeys in my life. I have tried, many modalities, different
Hmm.
paths to figure out like, okay, what am I here to do? What's my thing?
Yeah.
And yeah, there has been a few things like shamanic energy medicine. I did that huge training, with the four winds. That was very life-changing as well. But and Joe Dispenza, of course. I really love his work.
Cool. Yeah.
This, but I mean, when I found the Akashic Records and Emily, when she guided us into our own records, I was like, every time I went in, I was like, honey, I'm home. With my guides. And
I
they were
love it. They're
agreeing,
like,
and
you are. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, I feel so at home here. I just want to stay in here. Oh, you
Yeah.
free or you have stuff to do. Well, just, just
Totally.
a few more minutes. I just want to stay in here.
So cozy feeling. I love
I
that.
feel
I
like I
love
can be
that.
home, and I didn't understand it at first. And it's so, it actually hit me yesterday. I think I wrote it to you, like listening back to, and that was like we were in the training when we did these readings
I
for each
know.
other.
That's so
That
crazy. I
was
know.
so
That always
different.
blows me away.
Yes. And like how the guys were sharing like that we have similar origin where we started our soul journey, and that we're both blueprinters, or some people call them Elohims, but
Hmm. Hmm.
blueprinter origin. And like how we have lives together in the Akashic Records in Egypt, in different like priestess,
Yeah.
high priestesses. And I'm like,
Incredible.
it just hit me yesterday. Like, of course we needed to do this course together. Of course,
Right.
we
Yeah. And
we were
it's so funny because it's like we're on opposite sides of the like we
yeah,
would have never met otherwise.
no,
So
I'm
it's
not really
so
hanging out in,
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's
with every-
so interesting. I love
yeah.
that. Just the pre-planning before we get
Oh,
here,
yeah.
is just so cool. But it's interesting too. I feel like a lot of times people that end up being teachers or guides, which I would call you a guide for sure, they go through so much stuff like that.
Yes.
All of these dark nights. It's like now you can help people alchemize anything that from their life where they've experienced what you have. And so that's why people are they gravitate toward you so much because you're just like, oh, I get this. I have been there. Trust me, I've been there. And let me hold your hand. And your energy is so mothering and it's just so beautiful. And so I feel listening to you, you're talking about how you've been through so much stuff, and I'm just like smiling at you, right? Because I'm like, oh, you have, but you can't see or feel it on you.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm saying though? It's
yeah.
like, yes, you have been through it, and it's empowering almost to hear you saying it and to see how you've moved through it so powerfully. And now that's what you're doing for other people. It's so great. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
you're
really,
welcome.
when you say that, I'm like, I don't, if I had a dime for every time people told me, but we can't see that on you. We can't see that you have
Oh.
PTSD, or we can't
Mm.
see that you have chronic fatigue syndrome. You don't look sick, or, how many times over the years I heard that, oh, we can't see that you have gone through so much abuse, or, you know,
Ooh, yeah.
you look so this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I guess, in a lot of ways, I've carried a lot of those masks, but at the same time, now, I am at a different place in my life.
I see.
Yeah.
So
So
does it feel like you're still masking, or does it feel like now you feel more empowered by it?
yes,
Okay.
I feel like I used to have, like, when I was sick, when I was very, very sick, and people said that I was like, okay, you really don't get it, because,
Right.
bedridden in my 20s and living in a dark room 24/7, and I was sure that I wasn't going to make it until I was 30. I was
Wow.
sure I was going to die before that. So, because I was so sick. And so when people told me that, I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. So thank you.
Yeah,
On
right,
that
right.
part.
They totally
Uh,
don't know how to take that.
yeah, but at the same time, I think that I've gone through a lot. And for me, um, through everything I've been through, it came to a point for me where last year my soul was like, if you are not authentic and speaking your truth, it was like agony in my entire body. It
Mm,
was like I had these reactions where because I was, the old part of me was completely dying through
yeah.
everything I went through, and all these new parts of me were just being reborn. And it was like my soul just couldn't be someone I wasn't anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like this is too out of resonance. It feels
Yes.
so painful. Yeah.
Yes, it just, everything in my entire being was like burning in pain if I wasn't speaking my truth, or being
Right.
authentic, or like being um or like even honoring my
Yeah.
my needs, because it was like I came to a point where it was like, okay, what you have been doing hasn't been working. So,
Right.
you've got
Right.
it. And in my transformation as well, this new version of me that was emerging
Hmm.
wasn't that person anymore, that was just taking crap and being in, all these abusive relationships, and,
That's right.
taking all that anymore. And so
Love it.
today I still have, some things I feel like I need more time to, like, be vulnerable around. Like,
Sure.
I'm working on being visible, for example. I find that to be a very
Yeah.
challenge.
It's hard.
Uh,
You're doing great, by the way.
but at the same time, I feel like, okay, step by step.
Totally.
So
Bit
being
by
a
bit.
Yeah. And it's a part of taking back your power, stepping into your divine true self.
Right.
And if we are not true to ourselves, then other people won't, treat us.
That's right. The way, yeah, that's exactly right. They meet you where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, being authentic and just, yeah, it's something that is like on the top of my list of
Yeah.
what I'm working on, and like my priority of just being in my true self now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like something that is so important on my healing journey now, because
Yes. It's like it's the ultimate. I feel like it's the ultimate.
yes,
I feel like that is what everybody wants to do and be.
yes,
But a lot of the time they don't even know how to get there because
I
they're always shown like this will make you feel good. And they're like, okay, when I feel good, I'll be myself. Like I feel like they're kind of equating that, but that's just not how that's not how it works.
that's like how you hear all this, like, yeah, when I get that job, I'll be
Right.
happy. When do that thing or get that partner, then
Hmm.
everything fall into place. It's not about waiting for it. This is like the whole thing with manifestation.
Right.
Yeah. You
Right.
know, can't wait for it to happen.
Right. You embody it now, and then
Yes.
it just is.
Yes. And when I
Right.
started working through all these like roles and realizing like how many masks have I like I had this in my shamanic energy medicine training where we were doing this initiation process and we had to write down all the roles we've gone or like carried in our
Wow.
life.
Yeah.
I was like, I spent so much time on that, and that was like a huge realization for me. People were writing like 15 or 20. I was like, I think I wrote like 100 roles on this little small pieces of paper.
Oh my gosh, that's so
It
funny.
was, yeah. And I was like, it's been so many roles, and it's not just
Right.
being a daughter or a sister or like a student. It's these roles that are just placed on you or that you place on yourself. It's just like
Mm.
this. And I was realizing
Oh,
like,
that's really interesting. Even like projected roles you would write,
yes,
like that people project onto you type of thing.
yes, I wrote them
Interesting.
all down, all
Yeah.
of them, like victimhood or all of them, like being bullied and even parts that I feel like I'd played, but also parts I felt forced to play or
Right.
people had just placed on me. I started seeing this like it's like people had put these post-it notes on me that I was just wearing like a suit.
Right. Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's a great visual.
in this suit of post-it notes of all these roles and labels. And I was
Whoa.
like, well, most of these are not even mine.
That's right. I don't like these at all.
Like these, I don't resonate with them.
Totally. Oh my
Like,
God.
why, like, and then we were supposed to burn them. Every single one,
Yes.
we were supposed to put them in the fire. And I was like, yes, you go. You
It turned into
go.
a pyro that day.
But it was such a beautiful like ritual. And I've thought a lot about it lately, how many like I feel like it was important for me to write them all down because some were born into, yes, naturally, and
Right.
some society plays on us. But then there are all these other roles that just start to shape that people call you or project on,
Hmm.
start just accepting them and start living them. And after a
Yeah.
while, your personality, and all of a sudden, you're just having no self-esteem, you don't feel good enough, and
Right.
you just are completely out of balance with like who you are in your essence.
Right.
Yeah.
Is
And
that, do you find that a lot of your clients are operating from that place and then that's why they're coming? Yeah, that's why they
yeah,
come to you.
yeah, I see that a lot. I've actually started to see it in their whole energy field. Uh,
Mm.
it's like this layer of it's come up a lot in the last couple of months in my sessions where the guides have shown me like this layer. It's almost like a veil around their energy field. That's
Whoa.
kind of
Yeah.
covering the original blueprint of, their luminous energy field. And I've been like
Right.
taking that off and I've been like, okay, you are just not living in your, true self because you've
Truth.
taken on all these
Right.
roles or expectations or, and, that's what happens even when we go to school, as 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
and you're like being graded. Oh, well, that wasn't really good enough. Get a low grade. Well,
Yes.
like
It's
talk about,
crazy.
yes. So
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
it's not
The
empowering.
children. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it starts so early, the
Yep.
veiling.
Yes.
And I had to switch one of my oldest from the school that he was in last year. I had to take him out of there because I could see his creativity and his like inquisitiveness was just disappearing. And it had been 2 months that school had started, and he was only 4 years old at the time. And I remember I went in for, what was it, like back to school night or something like that. and the teachers boasting about our kids are so ready for kindergarten. They're going to be learning how to read. They can count to 100. And I'm like, these are party tricks for 4-year-olds. Like, I don't care about that. And I know my 4-year-old doesn't care about that. He wants to be in the dirt. Like, that's what he cares about, being tactile and building things and creating things like that. There's so much time to read and count. Like it's crazy. So we pulled him out of there, and now he's at a uh, what is it, Waldorf school, which is more body, mind, spirit. Like they really are putting all of that together. They're seeing the kids as whole, not
Yeah.
just little learning machines. And you need to get literally machines. That's kind of how the system is. It's like, let's just create cogs in the machine, and that's it. And I find Waldorf to be a lot more tactile hands, a lot of handwork, and just it's so sweet. And he talks about fairies, and that it's so magical. It's a magical type of curriculum. And I think there's one called Reggio Emilia. He went to a school briefly that was that before he got to Waldorf, but there were a bunch of fires in LA. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember yeah.
Yeah.
And his school was dangerously close to there, so we ended up having to move him. But anyway, there are places to look for kids, but you got to look, and it's not easy. And that's the craziest part, is it's just that veiling starts immediately.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. And I was even thinking, because I'm working on something right now, um, that is about returning to your inner knowing. And the first step is you got to recognize all of the noise that's kind of clogging up your system, right? And I was thinking about it, and well, I was rambling about it actually, as I do. And I was and I'm like, this actually happens before we're even born.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, first of all, you can't get pregnant properly. Let me help you get pregnant. You need to look out here to get pregnant properly. Okay. And then you get pregnant. You don't know how to be pregnant. Let me help you be pregnant. Go to your doctor to help her. She'll help you. Whatever it is. Go to this, do that, whatever. And then when it comes time to give birth, we certainly don't know how to give birth. It's not like we've been doing it forever and ever and ever. We don't know how to do it. So we need help with that, right? And then the baby's here. And guess what? You don't know how to parent. And so it's like before we're even here, we're born into this place, this system where, and this isn't the case all the time, obviously, but let's be real. And so then you're born, and it's like, oh, what do I do? I don't know how to do this. I need help. I don't know how to do any of this. So you're outsourcing everything. And so
Mhm.
you're so disconnected. You're born into disconnection from your inner self, inner knowing already, because like the likelihood of you being born into some type of disconnection from inner knowing your parents is high. And
Yeah.
it's just the way it's all set up. Because of course, if we don't know how powerful and how much we already know, the wisdom that we already carry, then we're
Mhm.
just so easy to control. It's like, no, this is what you do. And then, okay, you just march along and you do it. But when people start to realize, actually, I hate all of this. If everybody realized, and I don't need to do this, we don't have to do this,
No.
boy,
Yeah.
the world would be quite different.
I understand why I was miserable in school the entire time since I started first grade.
Right?
I was miserable. I was so unhappy throughout
Yeah.
all those years.
That's so
And
sad.
yeah, and I'm like, there's no I started actually getting sick at 15 actually, but at 20, like my body just completely said stop. But it
I
actually
was
started
I was
a
gonna
lot.
say that I'm sure that had a lot to contribute to it.
Had a lot to do with, a lot of factors, a lot of trauma, but also a lot of like stuff, just being in school, the whole system. And when you don't fit in and you don't,
Hmm.
thrive in that system, which some do, and that's great.
Totally.
But I didn't. I was not finding my place anywhere. And even we know today, with science that we are getting, so many things from the father and the mother. And while in the womb,
Hmm.
if the mother isn't feeling safe, if she is
Right.
anxious or stressed, what happens? Well, we are being born with the fight or flight system turned on.
Right.
Or basically being, and what does that do to our, and then maybe like I had, a really rough birth, for
Oh,
example,
yeah.
into the world, like,
Totally.
super
It's
of course it does
so
something to the
connected.
body nervous system.
Yeah.
Of course it is connected. It's
Right.
connected to the mother, to the, the dad. It comes so much science around this lately. And
Hmm.
I find it super interesting that it's finally coming out, how much
Yes.
it's affecting. Um, and a lot of the emotional baggage I heard the other day from the father
Mm.
being passed on, and we know the trauma is being passed down the
It's
generation.
so interesting. It's like because it feels almost like people are made to feel so silly, like straight up dumb, actually, if you think that anything you're having to deal with now had to deal with maybe when you're in the womb or
Yeah,
giving birth. It's really interesting to me. It's like, but that's still you. Like, it's still
it is.
you. And
Yeah.
our bodies are so incredibly intelligent.
Mhm.
And we have to know this already, you know? So it's so weird to pick and choose when we can say, no, that's not it. Yes, this is it. And that this is what I was kind of talking to the other day about astrology to make a hard pivot. But like
You
I'm
turn
learning
here.
all the yeah. Cuz I have always read horoscopes. I was thinking about this yesterday. I've been obsessed with horoscopes. I was like, how the fuck is this happening? Who's doing this? What is it? Okay, I'm a Cancer. Oh my gosh, who? And then that's of course the age where you're doing the compatibility tests and all these things. And I'm like, is this real? Whatever. Always looking at the horoscopes. So I had a real interest in it. But then of course you get older and you start meeting people that also have an interest in it, but might be a friend in that group that's like that's not even real. Like that's just that, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah. Oh,
shitting
yeah.
on it a little bit. And people
Definitely.
think that it's not valid and all these things. So there was a part of me I realized that was carrying that subconsciously. So I never dove into really learning any astrology at all and had a hard time remembering the signs. I had a hard time just remembering any of the things that I would look up because I was interested. And then I started doing a little more research, finding astrologers that I like, that I can understand how they're speaking. I need layman's terms, people. I need it to be simple, and so because it's so complex.
And if you
And
make astrology really complex, it's challenging to understand for, people who are more newbies.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, I want to know. Like, I want to know too. Yeah, come on. But so then I'm starting to do this research on it because I just keep having a feeling that it's going to inform my work in some way. And so then I see Carl Jung say he never saw patients without a birth chart. He would not see them without a birth chart. I'm like, what? I know people don't know that. I know that they don't. Because if they did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Super.
crazy. So interesting. I have a book coming today called Jung on Astrology. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're going to hear me on Instagram, people. I'm going to be talking about this.
Reading every chapter now.
That's right. That's right. And page 7. Um, but and then who else was it? Hippocrates from the Hippocratic Oath. That's like do no harm, right? He said, what did he say? If uh if a man has no knowledge of astrology, he has no right to call himself a physician. I know.
Oh.
Isn't that so cool? But it's so fascinating where we pick and choose. It's like we're gonna do whatever else Hippocrates did. I don't know what he did about, I'm not a physician at all. But it's like I know that we have the Hippocratic Oath, but you wanted to choose this, but astrology is not a viable tool to use medically or emotionally or in any capacity. That's what it feels like. That's kind of how things have been set up, you know? But it's like the idea of breaking the chain of magic, I feel like, or the chain of breaking that line of mysticism that actually isn't, because I feel like when you say mysticism, people think it's not real.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Woo-woo for people as long, yeah. And I think that's why, I know there's a lot out there now, the astrology, human design, gene keys,
Hmm.
all this now. And I really, it's the same for me because when you talk about your, experience with astrology, it's like I could have shared the same story because it's been exactly the same for me.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And I've been like lately too, just like on Instagram and like taking in all this, to and
Hmm.
learning from and feeling like, okay, there will come a time where I will do a course or like need to dive deeper into it. But I've
Yeah.
been feeling like, okay, I will know when the time is right.
Yes. Yeah. Same.
But of course, every time there's something planetary, every time there's
Hmm.
a full moon or some energies of the planets, I'm like reading about it, and I'm like, okay, is my life just mapped out through the 12
Right.
planets? Because I'm reacting to all of this stuff. Like I'm just, oh yeah, yeah, check, check,
That's
and check,
so funny.
you know?
That's so,
And
yeah.
it's affecting us. And the more sensitive you are, I think the more it is.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. It's so funny. I heard this astrologer talking about, I can't remember exactly what she was saying, but it was like, and if Uranus is square this, then maybe your pipes are breaking in your home. And I'm like, that is so specific. But
Yeah,
then you see people in the comments, and it's like, oh my God, we had a leak in this, or this burst, or, all these crazy things. And of course, if you want to be a skeptic, it's all coincidence, blah, blah, blah. But when things are happening consistently, when astrologers are saying this is what the sky is saying, and it's being mirrored here, I
yeah,
mean, at a certain point, it's just like, why can't we just take it for what it is?
yeah,
Like, that's what we
yes,
were doing way before.
yeah,
That's how we did actually everything. We looked at the sky because we didn't have anything else to help us out.
yeah.
Like, that's what we did.
People knew that in eclipse seasons, people were more cautious. It doesn't mean that it's a bad energy or bad things will happen.
Right.
It can, there's more, be more cautious. I have had a really huge lesson in the last eclipse season because everything that was told and I was forced to do, like, do not make big decisions in an eclipse season. Okay, like, everything will go wrong.
Spoiler alert. There we go.
I was like, okay, nothing went smoothly.
Oh my
Nothing. Like,
God.
oh,
Stop.
it's crazy. So, even like even my parents were like, oh, well, we never knew about this, but definitely we have learned this as well now, do not do this and this in
That's
eclipse.
so interesting. I love
Yeah.
it.
And I saw how it was affecting,
Yeah.
my everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember there was something about like electricity and like you said, plumbing and stuff. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And
Noted.
yes,
Noted.
and I was going through it, and but knowing about like your three, the sun, the moon, and the rising sign, for example, that has taught me so much about myself. I didn't know
Has
that.
it?
Yeah,
I
like
love that.
I grew up just thinking, oh, I'm a Leo, okay.
Right.
But when I started understanding, like, okay, I have my sun in Scorpio, and why I'm always
Okay.
going, I'm not a shallow, I never
Yes.
the shallow
No.
side. I am always diving deep, I'm always exploring. I need to understand the whole picture.
Right. You go into the depths.
I
Yeah.
always go the
Which is
depth of,
actually really interesting too, just how your life has been. It's like
yes,
this. Yeah. That's so interesting.
yeah. And then
Whoa.
I have a Sagittarius in my rising sign,
Okay.
two fire signs,
I
and
love that. But
yeah,
that's a
so
really beautiful mix with the Scorpio specifically. Like that's water sign mixed in with them, with those
yeah,
two.
yes,
That's so beautiful. I love
yeah.
that.
So. explains a
I
lot. No. Yeah.
yeah, it's funny because that's when I was ever reading horoscopes, I would always go, I'm Cancer, Sun. And I
Yeah.
would read these cancers and I'm like, I don't really resonate with these all the way. Like
Mhm.
I sure, I'm a homebody, I guess, but I am so social and I'm just so many other things, right? And then I found out that I am Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon. So I'm all water, which is hilarious and not surprising at all.
That is a strong combo.
Isn't
Wow.
that, but it's right? It's a crazy combo and it makes so much sense because I'm always that person that people come up to. It's like, I've never told anybody that. But it's because I'm already down there. I'm already in the depths and I kind of make people feel you can come down here with me. It's okay. It's safe. You know?
Yes. And that it makes a lot of sense, even more to like why you and I have,
Totally.
have because yeah, it just, oh my goodness, yes. And with that, the Scorpio and everything, those energies, it also, because I've always, I need to say that, but your gifts are so strong.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Like when we were working together, the things that you saw and the things every time we work together, you are so spot on. And when you share your experiences with things, I'm like, dude, why do you doubt yourself? You are so,
Oh, you're
so
so great. You're so great. Thank
you
you.
have, I agree with your husband. You're the psychic.
There's the best. Oh my God.
And I
Oh.
just, and then you have all these astrology signs that, you go deep.
Hmm.
And like you say, when people, and I also think that that gives you the capacity to truly feel people at a deeper level, meet them at a deeper level, and
Hmm.
have the compassion and empathy to truly understand where they come from and not make them feel like, well, you don't get me, No.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
So,
funny. I used to get made fun of. I'm the oldest of five siblings, and I would cry all the time. I could watch a commercial and be in tears, and everyone's like, "Oh, Renee." Yeah, yeah, I bet. I bet that's you too. That's so
watching a
funny.
cartoon and I'm like, you know.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, we took the boys to see How to Train Your Dragon last night,
Oh, I
and
love that.
oh, it was I didn't have any expectations. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and it blew me away. And of course, there's this gorgeous scene in it, and I'm just sobbing. And
Yeah.
my kids are looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because they just don't understand. I'm like, the music, the visuals, like, oh my God. But it makes sense. Exactly. It's like I just wear it on my sleeve. This is what it is, guys. And sometimes it's triggering for people and it's very upsetting. And sometimes it's very it's just it makes people feel like it's okay to do that. And so I finally, at this point in life, it's like, okay, if it bothers you that I've shed a fucking tear watching a beautiful dragon fly through the sky, then that's truly your problem because I'm just having the best time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so interesting, but we're all on different paths.
Yes. A lot of people cannot handle, strong emotions.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I don't know how many times people have told me that I am like, called me a snowflake or called me too sensitive or too emotional or too this or too that, and I am like that. I cry when I am happy, I can,
Yes.
or grateful or beautiful things happen, I can shed a tear, or when I'm deeply sad, because when I feel things very, very strongly. I feel it in my
Right.
entire
Yeah.
emotion is very intense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, it can be challenging, of course, when things are, hard. It's really hard, but it's also so beautiful
Yeah.
as you are so much, you are in. to me, I'm like, okay, so I have a deep connection to my emotions, to my heart, and I rather be like that
But
than to numb
yes,
and to
totally.
totally, not feeling or, not being in contact with my emotions, because
Right.
I think a lot of people today are just walking through life
I agree.
not being in, like, their whole heart chakra is just blocked,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's like caged
they,
up.
yeah, and they lack that emotional, how do you call it? Maturity, or
Yeah, yeah. That's a good one, I think.
yeah,
Because even if it's not in your nature to be so showy with your emotions,
that's okay.
it's totally cool. It's just that thing of when you see somebody else doing it and it makes you recoil, then that's something you need to look at. But it's like,
Yeah.
we're not saying everyone
No,
needs to be right. Yeah,
no, no,
totally.
no, no. I think it's beautiful to have the that everyone is different. I feel like it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
beautiful that we're all different. We react to things differently, and I find that to be just, it's colorful. It's beautiful.
yes.
Everyone would be the same. It would be boring.
So
But
boring. That's why we
so,
all came to Earth.
yes, there's nothing wrong with not being very, like in our emotions. But I also feel like there's a lot of people out there who are sensitive, who feel who are being called throughout their life too much because they are very
Yeah,
sensitive. And I feel like
yeah,
also important to acknowledge them, and how a lot of us, that it's okay to feel like,
totally.
and that it's okay to feel like your eyes are getting watery when a beautiful dragonfly with its beautiful
Yes.
magical rainbow colors is flying past you.
Yep.
Like,
You feel like it's hanging out with you or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
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 It's the magic. It's the
Yeah.
magical moments. And I think that's why I also feel like, the whole work of getting more in tune with our heart, the heart brain coherency, and working on gratitude,
Hmm.
it opens up the heart space a lot more, and it awakens
Yeah.
magic a lot more. And
Yeah.
when you are kind of on this autopilot throughout life, living, the hamster wheel, we
Yes, that's it. Yeah. The hamster
so
wheel.
again, there's nothing wrong with being too emotional or less emotional. We're all
Correct.
we're all different.
Yes.
But I think a big part of the emotional part is to learn to acknowledge what we feel. That has been a
Right.
huge, to actually also distinguish what is mine and what isn't.
Yeah.
What am I taking in?
Yes. That's a big one. That's a
Big one.
big one. I see that all the time with clients too,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's not yours. That's
Yeah.
not yours. And
Yes.
then when they break it down, they start to see that it's not, but they truly don't know.
I get that.
And that's it's so fascinating. And it makes so much sense because it's like, well, if you're feeling it and you're experiencing it, how could it not be yours?
Mhm.
If this is what's going on for me, how could it, what do you mean it's not mine?
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole new language because it's not something that we're ever really taught or shown.
Yeah.
And it's something I feel like is I think becoming a little bit easier for people to digest. And when they
Mm.
see it, they don't just write it off as, this isn't real, or that, but that doesn't work for me, or whatever it is. But it's hard to change that programming because
Yes.
it's so heavy. It's so intense.
Yeah. But back to like being kids today, when you are highly sensitive, and then you have to go to school every day, sit in a classroom with a lot of other people, you know,
Yeah.
and you're highly sensitive and you're not being understood, for example,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
something.
Yes. That's
Oh,
quite
big-
difficult.
yeah.
Especially if you go home and your parents are exhausted from work and they barely get to really see you, and then they don't have the emotional intelligence to understand that you're highly sensitive. It's like such a snowball.
Yes.
It's such a snowball.
Yes. And I think that, you know, but today I see that at least today it's opening up from when we were young, you know?
Oh
It's
yeah. Oh yeah. I
not
agree.
bad at all. I don't think even people, I don't even know if anyone talked about highly sensitive or empathic children or something like that when we were young, but
Oh
today at
no.
least it is more
Yeah.
out there. It's more
Right. It
accepted.
was like, stop whining. Why are you whining? I don't want to hear it. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Stop it right now. That was it. And you're just like, all right, well, that's not allowed. So I'm going to put that away forever. And,
Yeah.
and now it's like, yeah, like people are getting sick. People are starting to realize, oh, nothing is working. I'm going to the doctors, I'm getting the medication. Nothing else is, these normal things that people do to fix things isn't working. So I feel like that's why now there's so many more people doing this type of work
Yeah.
and people willing to be like, I don't even care how crazy this sounds to me. I'm going to try it anyway. you
Exactly.
know?
How many of us have just, I see that even today, like, boys don't cry, some
Yeah.
people are kind of raising, their children like that. And, it's no, you don't show your emotions, you put on a smile, there's still those
Right.
people out there. And I see today how many of us are carrying all these trapped emotions, and it's
Yeah.
creating imbalances and blocked energies in our bodies. That's creating disease. It's creating, yeah.
Ooh,
So,
sorry. Excuse me. It's a
so
lot
it's
of
so it's like, and how many of us have, like, when we look at the chakra system, because I see this a lot in my sessions with clients, because I work with their chakras
Mhm.
in with some energy medicine techniques, and I clear their chakras and I take out a
Mhm.
lot, imprints and trapped, and heavy emotions and blockages, etc. A lot of heavy energy. And from this life and other lives, and I see how much has been, suppressed. And when
Yeah.
we the chakras, the root chakra from 0 to 7 years old, and the sacral chakra from 7 to 14, and
Well, yeah.
how it's affecting,
Oh, that's right. Because certain ones more fully formed at different ages in life. Is that how that works with your
that uh, I'm not quite sure. I'm no like super expert in all
right.
of the, but like I know that the way I was at least trained is that it's kind of in that chakra where a lot of that from that age and from
Oh, I see.
and like where it kind of creates imbalances and kind of it gets stored, let's say it like
Right.
that.
Totally. Yeah.
And also, past lives, and we work with imprints, for example, in the Akashic Records, how
Right.
energetic imprints from this life, past lives, trauma, and it's being also stored in our energy field.
Right.
It is also affecting usually one of the chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I always locate, for example, one imprint or trauma, I always locate which chakra it's
Yeah.
active in, for example. And, that again is, linked to hormones and our body,
Yeah. Our bodily
everything
functions.
layered.
Yeah.
Yes, like we are so
Yeah.
much more than just a physical body. We are,
Yeah.
we have all these energy bodies as well,
Yeah. Do you find that your clients have um specific chakras mostly that are yeah,
I
which
always
one?
work y- I always work with the like lowest ones but when I do a longer session, I usually in energy medicine, in the healing sessions, I would do one chakra usually, but
Hmm.
when I do longer sessions and I see it's needed, I do clear out every chakra for what's, of course, again, we peel the onion so we can do the like
Totally. Yeah.
ready. now, but I always start at the bottom, and
Yeah.
usually it's the lowest chakras that's carrying the most. Yes.
The most of the weight. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's such beautiful work, and so like you said, like an onion, it's so layered.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me when things will come through for clients, and there's so much there that's just
Uh-huh.
dropped in, and
Mm.
you're kind of babbling. And then you're like, okay, wait. I need to take a second. There's so much happening. And they're just kind of sitting there like, oh God. It's those moments are always so
Mm.
humorous to me, because it's like, but don't worry, everything is okay. Do you know what I mean? Like they're still so lighthearted, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's something that people are afraid of,
Mm.
is how, because doing this type of work feels like it's going to be so difficult and so hard all the time, every step of the way. And I'm sure that's been the case for some people, but it just doesn't have to be the case. And I
Mm.
often see for my clients that a lot of the things that they get to move through, they were so afraid to bring it up, or they were so afraid to start doing, like taking steps toward clearing whatever it is. And then once they begin, it's like, oh, wait, even just saying it out loud a lot of times helps to let some of the air out of the balloon, you know? And it's just such beautiful work to see it. And then also to be able to feel and hear their guides come through. And it's like, no, it's okay. Trust me. I got you. We got you. You got you. It's okay. That's got to be one of my favorite things,
Yeah.
when they're having you can tell how intense it is for them. But then you
Yes.
can also feel how
Yeah.
much love and compassion and grace there is on the other side of it. And it's like, I feel that that is what we are ultimately trying to do for people, is to hold them and let them see this is available for you, and
Yes.
you can access this yourself at any point in time,
Yeah.
because they don't feel that they're allowed, like it's not their birthright to do so,
Yeah. Do you see the a lot in your sessions?
Say it again.
You see the witch wound a lot in your session.
Do I, you know, I do, and they for me, I don't usually call it the witch wound, but it's like they show, okay, so this is kind of how it comes through for me. I'm trying to think of the okay. It comes through definitely as a witch wound, right? You've been persecuted, you've been made fun of, you've been, tomatoes in the street, that the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the way that the guides they'll barely mention that part.
Mhm.
And then they always bring in a priestess of themselves. They always bring in that a powerful lifetime that they lived. So I've found, for the way that I read, or the way my channel works, is I rarely get those harder past lives shown to me. I'll see maybe a snippet. I'll see maybe an image of the person with maybe a sibling or whomever is important in that lifetime with them. And I'll just know what the context was. But I don't see
Mhm.
it played out. I don't see or get any gruesome details. Um, they give me the bare minimum that I need to tell them. And sometimes people ask questions and I don't get anything else. It's like, no, this is shut down. I literally cannot pull anything else. And I used to think that was a me problem. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough at this. I'm not doing a good job. But I've realized that it is because it's not helpful for the people that I'm working with. And
Yes.
so they always piggyback it with, okay, but this part of your soul actually is reigning even bigger. It's like, this is actually where you're at. Don't look over here. This is not, we can clear it, get rid of it, but it's not helpful for you to dwell on it. This is where
Mm.
we want to be. This is where
Yes.
you want to embody. And so
Mhm.
that's how the witch wound shows up for me. It's like, yes, you have it, but we're not going to talk about it that much. You're a priestess. You know, you're a magi, whatever it is. Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think, what also fascinates me so much is that I've noticed, well, I haven't worked with so many, in the Akashic, but like, from our class and also, I've heard a few other people that had other Akashic sessions with people I haven't, gone to,
Yeah.
but friends that, tried a lot of different people.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
and I'm like, everyone works completely differently.
Yeah,
So
totally.
totally differently.
Hmm.
And it fascinates me because not a single session is the same, but it's also so beautiful and magical because, I really truly believe that every client that finds us and even, the teachers and mentors and that we find, are meant for us in some way, you
I
know,
agree. Yeah.
to heal something or help us with something or teach us something or, you know,
Hmm.
or maybe
Whatever
we
it
live
is.
our past life or, or
Yeah.
something. Um, and I feel like, it's important to, I keep saying to people, you should go for the people that you resonate with, not what your friend.
100%. Totally.
You need to feel if you have like five Akashic record um, people you can go to,
Right.
please, go for the person you resonate with, that you
Right.
feel drawn to.
Always.
Yes,
Always.
always, because that's, there's a treasure there in a
Yeah.
way. And so I find it super interesting because I know your sessions are powerful, like
Yes.
so powerful. And I love that, you focus on the beauty, that you
Yeah.
focus on the beauty and the magic and the strength instead
Mhm.
of the trauma, because I am like, my guides are too like, they show me, but I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go into details. I'm going to give you the very short summary here. uh,
Mm,
so you get a feeling of what it was, and but I'm not going to give you the details that
right.
I see
Which
because
is so beautiful that you
mm,
do that. Because I feel like sometimes people that would have a gift as strong as yours, which by the way, I feel the same exact way about you. And I remember after our sessions, I would just go to tell Lon like, God, I just want to be in her mind I want to see what she's seeing. Oh my God, it sounds incredible. Um, but the when people have a gift like that, it's almost like, let me show you how good I am. Do you know what I mean? When they're
yeah,
getting that whole past life story or whatever that thing is all unpacked and they're
yeah,
seeing boom, 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 boom. It's almost, I feel like that's where people will go astray,
yeah,
telling
yeah,
people this, but exactly like what you said, I know that they can't handle this. That's
yeah,
not
no,
for
I
them to know. Yeah, it's
yeah,
up to me to find the puzzle pieces. They're showing me this for a reason. And so
yes,
now it's up to you to
yeah,
deliver that information in for their highest and best. And so I
yeah.
love that you have the capacity to do that because you are so empathic and understanding of that trauma response, what would happen if you re-traumatized someone, how not to do that. Like that's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do not want to do that. It was something we always, my teacher in Alberto in the Four Winds, he always said that, that we can spend a little, time on just a few minutes on just looking at the story, but we're not gonna re-traumatize. We're not gonna open that whole closet and
Right.
have the client sit there in a 10 of, on the scale of
Yeah.
trauma. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, okay, this is the trauma and, likely tap into it, the story, but we're not going to talk about the story because we are going to
We're
uh,
rewriting it kind of.
rewrite the story. Yes. And we're going
Yeah.
to create a new map because the
Mm-hmm.
map that the person have been kind of living by has not been working,
Right.
and
So
hasn't
true.
led them to the healing. And that's why usually they come to us,
Right.
because we are here to help them rewrite their story and create a new map. And
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, it's important to know that, okay, you maybe went through that war, or you had a loss that is affecting you today, and we will help you clear it. And, I
Hmm.
get a lot of trauma in my sessions, but I never, it is something I'm very aware of, that I will
Right.
never the details or re-traumatize in any way. And we clear it. And, I always do my very best to have that safe space, for
Yeah.
my, but at the same time, I see a lot of my clients like, that's why I struggle with relationships, or that's why I have this abandonment wound.
Right. So eye-opening.
Yes, it's so eye-opening. And at the same time, like you say, it's important to look at, okay, well, look at this one where you
Yeah,
like
totally. But look
super,
over here.
yeah.
Yes,
My
yes.
goodness, you're this super powerful, or like had this awesome life, or and bring that also into,
Hmm.
always do that in, I've started doing this activation in, after I do a whole clearing and healing and all those steps in my longer sessions. I always do this activation in the end, and I always ask the guides then to activate, those strengths and
Yes,
power,
yes,
magical light,
yes.
the memories that,
That's
because,
the best.
yeah, because people carry, every soul has deep
Yes.
wisdom
It's
in,
crazy.
yes, everyone
Yeah,
has that in some
I
way.
know. I love it so much. It's so wild. I try to do that in certain sessions that I offer too,
Yeah.
because I find that it's so that people are so surprised.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Aren't they? They're like, wait up there. I was what? I did what? And maybe they don't fully understand it, but by the time, your activation is over, I'm sure they're like, okay, actually, I feel like something has shifted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so
Oh.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. It's such a, oh, it's so incredible. I love that so much. And it,
Yeah.
and it's so, excuse me. I listen to a lot of Dolores Cannon books. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we've all lived so many lives. And
Mhm.
I mean, some of these books were published many years ago. And so when they're under hypnosis, the people will go to past lives, or they'll be like beings from other planets as a past life or parallel life, whatever. And a lot of times it's like, well, you guys aren't supposed to remember. You come here to Earth and you're not supposed to remember. And then as the books progress, you can hear these beings saying, some will start to remember. Now it is time to remember, because as we are starting to move into the new earth, right? We are supposed to remember and start activating this wisdom and these gifts and things like that. And that's why there's such an influx of more people doing this type of work, seeking out this type of work, because it is that whatever was dormant inside of us that was like, do not remember. Do not remember. Now it's just our eyes are opening a little and it's like, wait a minute. I think there's something else here.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
so interesting.
yeah. I have so many books. I'm like, yeah, planning to read. I have like so many books, and her books are definitely on that list of mine.
I know they're so good. Those are the books that I listen to, because I
Yeah.
can't I know I can't sit there and read as often as I'd like to.
Yeah.
Um and the way her audiobooks are, it's like two different speakers, so it's really easy.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna try them in audio, I think then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good.
Hey,
Won't regret it.
on a reading isn't always so in, into the day, but
Right, yeah. Well, you know
um,
what book I just read that I flew. Okay, I am a voracious reader, right? I love it, and I could finish a book in a day or two,
yeah,
pre-children, right?
yeah,
So I picked up Many Lives, Many Masters. Have you read that one?
heard of it.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, I know you've heard of it. It's the book about this psychiatrist that
Mhm.
hypnotized a client, and she went back to all these past lives, and he was just like, what is happening? And so he recorded them and published this book about them. And I flew through that. I read it in like 3 days. It was so good because it's like this man that was science, science, science. This is the way the mind works. I'm really good at this. He was the head of psychiatry at some prestigious college. I can't remember which one. And saw hundreds and hundreds of clients. He'd put so many people under hypnosis for the things that we normally would: no more smoking, no more eating, whatever.
Yeah.
And this girl came in, I think she was 27, young girl, and she had all of these really heavy anxiety issues with around a lot of different things. And he found that putting her under hypnosis, she was going back to these past lives. And then when she would die, she would go back to source or whatever, and the masters would speak through her and deliver messages to him. And I forget why I even brought this book up, but there was a point. But now I'm just giving you all a synopsis. But anyway, the it was interesting because going back, just being under hypnosis and visiting those past lives, it would completely eradicate one of those fears that she had. She had like a fear of the dark, a fear of taking pills, a fear of flying, all of these random things that seemingly were not connected, right? And then she would go back to past lives. And then the next session, she'd be like, oh my God, I just took some Advil for the first time ever. It was no big deal, whatever. And it was just a really beautiful, beautiful book. And like I said, I can't remember the point why I brought it up, but in the first place. But
Remembering we talked
that's a
about
good,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Oh yeah,
And
remembering. Yeah, it was, and that book was written. Oh, I'm not even going to actually try to remember when it was written, but it wasn't that
I have heard of
recent.
it. Yes, I know. I have I have looked at that book several times, I think.
Yes, oh,
Definitely one
it's
I'm gonna read. Yeah, I find that so fascinating because I started reading another one with, oh, I cannot remember. I know she's on Gaia. I do not remember her name right now, of course. But she also was this, typical therapist, just doing hypnosis, very, how can I say, not spiritual, And
yeah, totally.
she also had all these, and she started recording them, and I think I read through the half of the book, and it was all these, yeah, it was the same in all these people just remembering, past lives from different star systems, and
Oh my God, yeah,
how they, after they died, they went back to these places or back to the star system, or
yeah.
stories. And I was like, wow, this is,
I love it. It's so
yeah,
interesting and cool.
it's super interesting. And I really feel like I've always believed that even people who have some kind of, you know, people talked about that in the beginning of my spiritual journey, that, people with a birthmark or something like that
Yes.
be like from something, from a past life.
Dude, I have the exact same birthmark as my mom in the exact same spot on my face. And one of my sons has the same birthmark on his body. It's exactly the same.
Wow.
It is so crazy. So I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
100%. And it's so weird too that I was just talking about this with my husband the other day. Our youngest has this birthmark on his side, like right above his ribs, right under where maybe your heart would be, kind of thing, a
Yes.
little to the left. And he's like, Lon was like, "What do you think that is? What is this? Is that a third nipple or something?" I said, "No, I think it's a birthmark. I think he was killed in a past life there." And I don't know why I thought that, but when I saw it, because it appeared days after he was born, it wasn't there right away. It appeared later, and I just had this overwhelming feeling like he was a warrior in a past life, which is really funny because his Hawaiian name actually means like that he's kind of a warrior type of spirit. And I just feel he was absolutely a fighter before. And so are you feeling it? She's like,
I'm
yeah.
seeing it. I'm seeing the images.
Are you? Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, as you're
But
talking about getting the images.
oh, that's so funny. Okay,
So,
so yeah,
yes,
some truth
definitely.
to that. That's what I
Yes,
was.
my entire body is in chills. So yes,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, that's so. I love
Wow.
it. I mean, not that he was murdered in a fight, but
No,
I love that I picked on upon.
but yeah, the point about it is like, and also this about, I've started to think a lot about, because with my own health issues and
Yeah.
and and like you said, the anxiety, like how many of us have this like fear of, I don't know, heights, or for example, water. I've seen that,
Yeah.
like always
Yes.
afraid of water. I've had a few clients that have come like, I don't know. I can't stand water. I'm so afraid of it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And it pops up something about, like some nature disasters, or flood,
Hmm.
or, they lost some loved ones, or they're only drowned, or, something.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And it
Yep.
makes so much sense. Like when you say it and they're like, ah, yeah, okay,
Right.
that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
100%.
that that's the same for a lot of us struggling with some kind of like illness or something that,
Yeah.
you know, it's like not just our body, but our soul remembers.
Yes, absolutely. Like we can't consciously understand it yet, but
Yeah.
and maybe we won't ever in this life or whatever, but yeah, absolutely. That's so funny, the water thing, because I love the water. I love it. But thinking about the sea, like the ocean, being deep in the ocean gives me, and it used to be much worse actually. That even just the thought of it would kind of, ugh, like I would get so scared. And now it's way less. And I think this happened in, I think it was our galactic Akashic class with Emily. And she was talking about, I think we were talking about Atlantis or something. Maybe she was guiding us through a meditation of sorts. And I was
By
thinking,
the
oh,
end of
I
it, I
want, right? And I'm like, I wonder if this was related to the flooding in Atlantis. Yeah. And then after that happened, I remember feeling so emotional during that part of the class.
Mm.
And since then, the fear hasn't been as intense. It's still there a little bit, but it hasn't been. I mean, it used to feel like a full-on phobia where I'm like, I can't even think about it for longer than a couple seconds. And it was just so weird because I'm Hawaiian. My Alon's like, "What do you mean you don't like the ocean?" And I was like, "No, I like the ocean, but I don't want to be out in the ocean. Like, I don't want to be out there. Yeah, I don't want to be out." And he loves to sail. Like he loves to.
Ah,
So
okay.
he has all these dreams and ideas of us all out there. And I'm like, "With who? I'm not going out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'll stay right around here. And now I'm like, okay, I feel a lot better about it. Now I'll consider it. It's so funny.
That is amazing. I think I remember that because I was just before you were sharing about that. I remember you sharing something in class about that. I think it was one of
Probably.
the last meditations where she took us through a past life.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the specific one.
I think everyone shared in that class, and
Yeah,
it's really, yeah, a
it was
lot of
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, very emotional.
Yes,
That's
very
such cool
emotional.
work. I know.
I
I
also, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It just hit me how I've been feeling every time I've taken like two galactic Akashic courses, and every time it is bringing up so much emotions, and it's stirring up a lot in my life, and it's a lot of stuff coming up when we've been doing that course, and yeah.
I feel like it's so hard to wrap your head around too because nobody talks about it. So then you're feeling like, and this is also it's I feel like this for you is connected back to your childhood in school where you just felt so othered. And it's like, I'm not the same. And now here you are having experiences, galactic experiences, and God, don't talk about that shit in public, girl. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's the same type of thing. So, but I think it's so cool because I feel so deeply, and I'm sure you do too, that in the near future, this is really not going to be that taboo, where it's going to be a lot more, uh, way more on in the forefront. Because I do feel like some things are going to happen. I don't know what they are, but do you feel that way too? Yeah.
Absolutely can't say exactly when, because I used to see time, but the
Did
last
you?
yes, yes, but I used to be able to like see things like happening in time, but time has changed for me somehow.
Hmm.
So now it's kind of harder to see exactly. So now I'm more like, oh, within this and this,
Right. Yeah.
time and space. But yeah, yes, definitely. I agree with you when you say in some near future. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I actually had a dream about it just like a
Really?
couple. Oh, and I just woke up and yeah, the dream was just like something like I just looked up at the sky and there was this beautiful lighting up in the skies a spaceship, and I was like, oh, look there, a spaceship. Ooh, now they're finally appearing. Okay, cool. And I just like
Whoa.
I woke up and I was like, you were not even stressed about it. You were just like, oh, okay, I guess
Right,
that's.
right. Oh, I guess there is a time where that occurs. I love that. That's so
And I
funny.
was just like, I had to laugh when I woke up and I was like, oh, you were not even, you know.
Right. Not concerned at all.
It was
Not
just like,
concerned.
oh, okay, they're here now.
Right.
Now we can
Yeah.
talk about
Exactly. Now we can all chat about it. Let's go. Let's
it.
go.
It was just so strange. And I yeah, so I don't know if that was just my subconscious or if it was something more, but
I
sometimes
feel
I
like it was something more. Yeah.
yeah, I have a feeling.
It's yeah, totally. It's so cool because in a lot of, I mean, I've read a lot of Dolores Cannon books. So she yeah, and there's so much galactic information in there, but
Yeah.
it's truly every person,
Mhm.
pretty much every person has lived on other planets, you
Yes.
know? And it's just so cool to hear these people. And she always, describes them and she's like, this is so and so. I mean, she knew different names, whatever, but, they're just normal people that just
Yeah.
live the same everyday life, but they want to get hypnosis for whatever reason. And then that part of their soul is like, hey, we used to live on this planet. This is what we look like. This is what and it's just holy shit, you know? It's so interesting and cool. And I just feel like the all of the media is really the issue. Of course, it's always the media where they
Oh,
think, yeah, right. It's
they're
this
fear-based.
horrible. Yeah, they're terrifying. They're all going to be so awful and scary and yeah, they look different, guys. They most of them look pretty interesting, but it's like you can feel the vibes. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be I'm excited for that. I'm just so excited for it. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I talk to my father-in-law about this all the time. He's so into
Oh,
yes.
that is so cool. That
It's
is
the
awesome.
best. Every time we go over there, he's like, all right, Renee, I heard something new. Do you want to hear it? I'm like, of course I want to hear it. Of course I want to hear it. It's so much fun. Oh my God. And my dad used to love that stuff too. He died 10 years ago, but
I'm sorry.
and it's such a bummer. I'm like, I wish I could have now that I'm into it too, because before I was just like, yeah, that's cool. But it, whatever, I believe in it, but it wasn't anything that I
Yeah.
would sit there and really discuss with somebody. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, I wish I could tell him, yo, I'm talking to actual aliens right now. Like, how would
You
he?
have a strong connection with them. So you have a really strong connection with them.
Yeah, so do you. I know. It's so cool. And
Yeah.
so then it's like no surprise that we're doing this type of stuff,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think our clients definitely are star seeds, and I think there's I do think, as far as I've understood at least, that there are some souls that are like Earth based,
Right.
and yeah. So, but I do think, like you mentioned, that most are
Yeah.
actual seeds, even
Right.
animals.
Even animals. That's good. That's good. I didn't even, yeah, of course you would bring in the animals.
Yes, well,
Yeah,
part of
got to.
yes. And for me, that's a subject where I'm still like wanting to, I'm still having a dream where people understand, and as I'm saying it, my Little
Oh,
princess coming in here now.
oh,
And
I
you
love that.
yeah, and they are so wise. They're
Right.
so spiritual.
Yeah.
Like they know things that I'm like blown away by.
Yeah.
I have actually like yes, I communicate with my guides and the galactic guides and all of my guides, but every time I have needed guidance in the last yeah, at least 10, 15 years, every time I've really needed guidance or something about the future,
Oh my gosh.
my animals have always been right.
What?
But when I've gone to like, called a psychic or something, I've gotten
Yeah.
like a lot of experiences. I've
Oh
tried.
my God. Wait,
But
so how do you connect in with them? What are you doing?
well, you communicate with your guides, don't you? So you
Okay,
telepathy.
it's the same. It's literally the same.
Yeah.
I was
I
like, is it different or no?
no, for me it's pretty much the same. Connect with their soul. I connect with,
Hmm.
with their soul. So I'm getting in I'm using all of my clear senses like I do in the Akashic and everything else. I'm using the feeling, the seeing, the hearing. And I get their voice and I get their, like, they have a personality like you and I have.
Right.
Some
Oh
are
my
more
God.
bossy, some are
Right,
more,
they have a soul.
yes, of
So,
course.
yeah,
Of
of
course.
course
They
it's
have
just
individual
the
souls, just like us. Yeah.
right.
They have
Yes.
soul contracts with us. They have,
Oh my God.
they
Yeah, of
are our
course.
teachers and our
Yeah.
guides. And so, yeah, they are, oh my goodness, how much they're teaching me and helping
Mm.
grow. And how many times one of them has said, do not do that. That is not a good idea. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm going to do
That's
it. And then I'm
hysterical.
coming home and I'm like, okay, you were right. That didn't
Now
work.
I have to see this little kitty and she's gonna give me the look when I walk in the door. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And
Right, right. We don't need to discuss this.
yes. You're right. Okay, I know I should have listened.
That's
And
so good.
it's so cool because they all have their personalities and they all have their own, soul purpose.
Oh, yeah, of course, right?
And they have their soul purpose here on, Earth. They have their soul purpose, of course, in our lives. And
Beautiful.
and for example, I know that my animals, every time I work with energy, like for example, a session, they will always come in and participate.
Oh my gosh.
And
Are
like
they like just holding space? Like, are
sometimes,
they
yeah,
right?
I
But
remember
sometimes they're
time
actively.
yes, sometimes they're actively. So I actually have to also be very, you know, do clearing and protection also, not just, but also for them because I'm like, okay, you shouldn't be taking on this, this, I'm
Oh my
working here.
gosh.
But they mean well because they are energy workers themselves. They are such strong healers. And
Oh my
for
gosh.
example, the dogs are very, very sensitive to our emotions,
Hmm.
our mood, our energies. And I see I see my dog. I haven't even considered like, should I go for a walk now? I haven't even finished a thought. And she's jumping up and
Flying through the door.
she's like, I was like,
So
but I wasn't
funny.
even finished with my thought here, I hadn't
I
even
haven't
like
considered it yet.
I haven't even considered it yet. And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm ready, you know? And they're saying like they are so sensitive and the cats, they are such energy healers. They are working with
Oh my
entities,
gosh.
spirit. Yes. They are seeing things like I
Dude,
don't know.
I was literally programmed as a child to hate cats, okay? Because I know, no, yes, because my grandmother hated cats. And we lived with my grandmother for a while, and uh she had a BB gun, and anytime a cat came into her backyard, she would just shoot at it to get them to
Mm.
flee or whatever and make this big fuss about it. And so it was just in my head, we hate cats. I hate cats. And then I remember I found a stray cat in the street and I took it home with my best friend at the time. And it was like, oh, we how are we going to keep this cat away from our parents? Because her parents hated cats.
Mm.
And so we were, I would, in my head, I had the cat for a week and she had the cat for a week, but we were in like fifth grade. So I doubt it was that long. But it could have literally been hours. I can't recall correctly. But it was like this sweetie little tabby cat. And I named him Lucky. I was like, because you're so lucky that I found you. And I was obsessed with him.
Mm.
um, my best friend's mom found the cat and was like, "What are you guys doing with this cat? Like, you cannot have it in here, um, just by yourselves. Like, what? You're not taking care of a cat." And so we had to take it to the pound. And I remember going with her, and I remember so vividly being in the back of the car, just like sobbing that I couldn't
Yeah.
keep it. And that was my only real experience with a cat. And then ever since, and even after that, though, I had a really skewed and weird relationship with cats. I'm also allergic to cats. So it was one of those things too where, oh, I can't even be around them if I can't even. But I have a really sneaking suspicion that if I were to get a cat now, that I would have no problems
Yeah.
with it. Are you feeling that? She makes these faces, you guys, and you just know all the things. She's just trying to pay attention to all the things. It's the best.
I think that programming is just, but I'm feeling like this is something old for you also, both in your family,
Yeah.
but it's something from a past life here that's like,
Yeah. I
yeah,
I had that feeling too as I was saying it because I'd never even looked into it until I just told this story now.
yeah,
But with my grandmother for sure. Yeah. That's so interesting. And of course, my husband's like, we're not getting cats. Like, we're not getting cat. And I know in my heart, I'm like, I know we are. Not now.
yeah.
But I know we
Uh-huh.
will. Yeah.
Yes, at some point.
And I'm so excited hearing all of this stuff from you too. I'm like, ooh, what a fun day that will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I just take a quick break and let her out because she's
Oh
gonna
my
stand
gosh.
just
Yes, let her out. And actually, my kid's probably gonna. I'm gonna have to watch the monitor soon, so we might get taken off. But so
yeah,
go ahead, no big deal.
just 30 seconds. She's gonna sit here and meow until I'm
I love it. I love it.
30 seconds. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I think it's definitely a kitten in your
I
future.
love it. I was just thinking too. I used to my sister and I would we had this video game, this computer game when we were young, maybe
Mhm.
like 12 or so, 11, um, called Cats. And and it was just all these different breeds of cat, and you could pick which ones you want and you take care of them. And it was our favorite game. And
Yeah,
we loved the cats one even more than we loved the dogs one, which is
yeah,
so interesting now looking back. We didn't even, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. I wish I could see that game again. Just for
yeah,
nostalgia's sake, I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up. I think it was Cats with a Z. I don't, does this ring a bell
yeah.
for you? I don't know if you played
I
like
think
video
so.
games and
That's
stuff.
the thing I'm trying to like because I'm like it kind of
Oh my gosh.
feels
I have to look
familiar.
this up.
Yeah,
Right?
it's not familiar, but I'm like, okay, what? And yeah.
Oh my God, it was Cats with a Z. 1996, you guys. Oh my God. Of course, it looks so ridiculous, the graphics now, but I remember this being like the coolest thing in the world. This is so funny. Okay.
That is so
Wow.
cool.
I love that.
Just I think that, with the whole with animals, because so many animals are very sensitive and they are like they mirror us a lot,
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
us. Like,
Yeah.
one of our like the animals are actually one of the best teachers for us.
That
They
makes a lot of
just
sense.
so much about ourselves, our habits,
Yeah.
so many things. And I think that a lot of people are underestimating how
Yeah.
wide. and how much they understand. They understand everything we say, our thoughts, our emotions, our energies. They read us better than we understand and read ourselves.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. So and they just want us to evolve. They want us to heal. They want what's best for us. They want
Right.
us to,
They
raise our
love us.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. They're so
Um,
pure. They're so pure.
they
Yeah,
are so pure and they are very wise souls.
yeah.
And to me, um, yeah, I've actually started working also. I've started testing a little bit because my guides were telling me that this is something I am supposed to work on with the animals in the Akashic. So I've been doing that a little bit.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
And
So
so you're opening their records
mhm.
and just seeing what comes through. What are they asking for guidance or help with?
Yeah, and I'm also
My
doing,
gosh.
the energy medicine healing techniques
I
and
love that.
a few times on, yeah, my own animals. I'm looking, on their energy fields and because they have stuff too. They can have cords. They can
Right.
have,
Right. Oh my God. That's
because I've seen that myself that for example, one of my animals, I was under some kind of attack a while back. I think it was last year, and one of
hmm
my animals actually took that on himself.
to like take some of it off of you.
Yes. And,
Whoa.
so I had another shaman friend of mine help me. And back then, and I see that, that the animals,
Wow.
they,
Fierce.
yeah. And
I
they
love
can
that.
have energetic things and blockages. And, so
That makes
I,
so much sense.
yeah, because first I was doing the energy medicine healing sessions with a few animals.
hmm
And, and then my guides were like, well, you're supposed to also, do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go,
There-
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's okay. This is something I'm kind of, working on evolving more. And I see that too, past lives with, coming up. Like I saw some past lives that I had with my kitty, for example. I
Oh
was
my
just
gosh.
so emotional because it had to do a lot with some wounds that I carry. And, I was shown a lot of stuff and I'm like, okay, this goes for all of us, because we have
Right.
we have these
Was she an
connections.
animal in that other life too? Or was she, did you guys have a different relationship?
Well, animals can be anything like humans and other races and anything, because I know some people say that they're like, no,
Right.
yeah, I do not
I was
believe.
going to say that didn't resonate with me. I've heard
Yeah,
that before too. And I was like, I don't think that's true.
no, I do not believe in that. I also truly believe that each animal have their own soul,
Yeah,
uh, personality, because they are
totally.
so funny and like they have such humor as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so yeah, I actually saw a few of them and not a whole lot because it was very emotional what came up.
Mm.
But I think she was my daughter in
Oh
that
my
life.
gosh.
Something happened and that's
Mm.
so it was very emotional for me and it was
Yeah.
a big trauma that I needed to be, that I needed to look at and heal and work through. And it was just a few weeks ago actually that I,
Oh my God.
did this. So, we have very strong connections with, at least some of us have,
Yeah.
stronger connections with our animals. And to me, I also do not like this whole ownership,
Right.
because to me, they're family, like,
Yeah,
uh,
totally. That makes so
so
much sense.
yeah, so I don't like to use that word.
Yeah, I like that too. I
But
agree.
so yeah, I feel like there's like I saw a lot of um past lives, or not a lot, but a few lives that came up that showed me different things, different roles we had
Yeah.
each other and different, things we had gone through and experienced. And I also saw that, you know, these are things that needs to be healed and cleared. And so
Right.
it's something that my guides have shown me that it's important work because we have this bond
Yeah,
and they come into our lives for a reason.
right.
And there's, yeah, maybe some
Yeah.
things that have to be healed, that may pop up. And for me, I'm like, when I actually have seen a connection with some of my animals with some galactic. I've
Love
seen
it.
them
I
like
love it.
standing behind them, like, we got you.
Oh my
Like,
God,
I've
yes.
like seen it like, okay, so you guys are like, so this whole theory of them like being at like a lower level or not, I'm like, no, it's the
No
opposite.
way.
They are,
Right.
I would
How
say, attended
interesting.
masters compared to, because they are so wise. They are so
Hmm.
wise, and they work a lot in the astral and
Hmm.
astral realm. And they
Oh my
are,
gosh, I want to do this for my dog. He is he is I don't actually I think he might be 6 or so. We got him, rescued him from Iran.
Mhm.
So we there's a nonprofit out here called Dogs Without Borders, and they
Yeah,
will go and of your okay. So
yeah,
they rescue dogs that are in non-ideal places. And Iran, they treat their dogs really poorly because it's illegal to own dogs in Iran. So there's a company there called Adopt an Iranian Dog. Oh, this actually, oh my God, this is another clairaudient thing that happened to me before all of this stuff happened. But it was, we were driving, Lon and I were, first of all, he scared me. He comes up to me randomly and he said, "We need to talk," which, come on.
yeah,
Everybody knows that that's
yeah.
not how you start a conversation. And I'm, my heart drops. I'm like, oh my God, what is he going to say? He said, "I really think we need to get a dog." I was like,
Couldn't have started that conversation.
okay. Yeah, that's not what I would have expected in a million years. You would say, fine. Like, of course, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And we're driving and I'm looking up pictures of dogs to adopt in LA. And this beautiful puppy pops up, and I just hear, "That's your dog." And I was like, okay, this is him. This is the dog. And you were like looking, and I was like, no, this is the dog. I'm telling you that this is the dog. Um, so he gets here and so traumatized. We didn't see his tail for weeks. I mean, he was so scared. It was so sad. And now, 3 kids later, he's a completely different dog, but
Yeah.
there's still some aspects where I can see, okay, there's some stuff he's holding on to. And I don't know why I never even considered trying. I think I feel now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I won't be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, well, what I know that it's saying it out loud. I'm like, but that's what it is. You
But
can
the
bring
thing
it.
is, I think what I see myself is like doing, it's the same with energy work. When you do that on a close one,
Thank
if you
you.
do that on your husband, or
Hmm.
if like me working with my animals or my own family, it's too close. Usually I
I
call
see. Yeah.
I have a few animal communicator friends, and my best friend is an awesome animal communicator.
I
So I
love
usually
that.
like,
Oh,
you know,
perfect. Yeah.
I
Phone
have an
call
issue.
away.
I have too much fear. I am too, emotionally
Oh,
into
yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
he always helps me. But but I am trying, with the Akashic Records. And I'm also, she let me practice on her kitty.
Oh, I love that. That's
So that,
great.
so that I can kind of get to see how this, how it is for them and how their connection is. So, I'm trying this
Yeah.
out, and so let me know if you want to, can do that on you.
I'll let you know right now. I'd love it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yes, let's do that.
Oh,
Because
okay,
I feel
cool.
he came into your life for a reason. And
Right.
so, but you know what also I think is important that people don't think about is that animals also can have PTSD or complex PTSD, just like us.
Right. Which makes so much sense. I mean, Why wouldn't it be? Especially being so sensitive. I mean, imagine. There was a time for that he would kind of be really weary of just all children
Yeah.
because we have a feeling a lot of kids would come by and just throw rocks, and that's what they said. That's what the people said. They're like, yeah, even the kids are really bad out here. They catch the dogs and they like, basically torture the dogs and stuff. Like that's how they play the kids out there.
Mm.
Some of the time. I don't want to speak. This is what was told to me by the organization, right? Um, and so when we had Frank here and we'd take him on walks or to a dog park or whatever, it was that you could see his fear and just he would recoil. We're like, dang, how's it going to be when we have kids? He's really
Yeah.
afraid of these smaller people. And so after we had our first, he was really sus about it. Not happy. Not happy. And then as their relationship started to form, we were like, okay, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but still we had to be hyper vigilant, like, that type of thing. And now, third baby, I mean, he goes right up to Frank and just touches his head, he touches his ears, he pats him really hard on his back, and it's Frank's a big dog, so he can handle the baby pats. But and he no nothing. It's crazy. It's crazy. But there's just still a few things. Like every once in a while at night, he'll kind of just be pacing the house and panting. And so I feel he's kind of just picking up on things. And so,
Yes.
yeah, right. Yeah. And I'm like, I think there might be a lot to pick up on sometimes too, depending, because I pick up on a lot and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on in
Yeah, from
here? I
what
got
you
to
have
do.
shared, he will definitely pick up on the things that you have shared with me, that you have experienced in your home. Uh,
Yeah, that's right, which is just mind blowing to me. But again,
yeah.
makes perfect sense. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Doesn't he do that where he just looks like out into kind of thin air and he
You
doesn't?
know, he doesn't do that often, to be
Okay.
honest. But I know, and also to be really honest, I'm not watching him like that these
Yeah,
days. You
I
know what
get
I
it.
mean? He's kind of like the background player in our life right now. Poor guy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I had this thing with my animals when there was this intense meditation and experience I had, and where my my entire home was just filled with my guides, and it was so intense. It was just some really deep work we were doing, and my dog were just like, she was like running all over the house and just like
Oh my
woof, woof,
God.
all over, and just like I was like, I'm sorry. Of course, she got a bit stressed because she was
Right.
feeling.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening here. You're right. You're right to bark.
Yeah, and afterwards I was like, oh, of course, because I was really deep into, the
Right, right.
whole
You're on
process.
another planet right
Yeah,
now.
I was kind of on another, but
That's
he
so
was
funny.
just stressing around with it. And I remember also the first time I learned to open sacred space, both of my animals were just like, okay, what's this? Ooh, we like these energies. Yeah. And every time I was,
Wait. You said when you learn to open sacred space,
yes, I open sacred space in my home all the time. And I always,
what's that?
I, I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, a way where I call in archetypes. It's from my shamanic energy medicine.
Oh,
I can send,
cool.
yeah, I will send it to you afterwards. And I, of course, I have a connection with the archetypes as well. So I am calling them in, and I am um like creating like a shield and a sacred space
I
around my
see.
home. I also do it around my like workspace. And
Mm,
but I like to um I always work in sacred space, and I always keep it open because it brings very peaceful, high frequent energy, and my animals love it.
that's
So
amazing.
every
That's
time they're
amazing.
just relaxing, every time I
Yeah.
open space and stuff, they're just like, yes, we like this energy.
That is amazing. It's so funny. When I was pregnant with my third,
Yeah.
and I was still co-sleeping with my
Yeah.
second.
Yes.
And that's kind of when all of this stuff really kicked into gear, where when I had my eyes closed, I would start to see lights moving around, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And
Mhm.
anytime I would start to see the lights happening, my baby, what he wasn't a baby at the time, he was maybe a toddler, 15, 16 months old. He would
Yeah.
always start to shift in his sleep, and he would start to make sounds. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, it was such confirmation. Stuff is
Yes.
happening. And then I
Yeah.
gave birth to my third and co-sleeping with him, and the exact same thing would happen. And to the point where, and at that point, by the time I'd had him, um, it was night and day from when I was pregnant. I was so much more intense and so much stronger and clearer, and I was way more confident in it and all these things. And so I'm
Mhm.
having really full experiences, and I could really only have them at night because that's when it was quiet and I'd be still and he'd be still. And so that's kind of when I would journey and do communicate with them, my guides. Right.
Yes.
And then but it would get to the point where I'd have to tell them, okay, please not tonight. Please, because he would wake up. He would just wake up. It was so interesting. They're so sensitive, animals and children. I mean,
Mm. They're
it's
very, and you should, when you journey, always journey in sacred space.
right. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes. I know. I feel like I felt like I had a really good protection going and things
Yeah,
kept
that's good.
happening.
Yeah,
And I
you're
was
good.
like, no, it's not. Yeah. It's like, no, you really got to lock that down. You got to make sure that your place is really
Yeah.
protected before you start doing stuff.
But
And I've
have
learned that.
you experienced your intuition? Because I know for a lot of women, their intuition is getting a lot stronger and clearer when they're pregnant and when they go
Oh,
into
yeah.
and yeah, because it is, the divine feminine and the intuition
Hmm.
to be in the womb,
Right.
that
Yeah.
we in our
It
womb.
was so crazy because, and I had a reading done. I think I had maybe two readings done while I was pregnant by
Yeah.
someone that I really trust and love. Her name is Marguerite Insolia. And she was saying that, of course, like you said, it's no accident that everything is turning up while I'm pregnant. And
Yes.
also, it was part of his contract with me, where it's like, this is who you need to be by the time I get here.
Strong.
So let me give you all the tools that you need so
Yeah.
that you can be fully embodied and step into your power and actually start to really free yourself because
Mhm.
we think we're so, I mean, well, maybe we don't all think that, but I have felt I'm pretty sovereign. Like I'm pretty much, I do what I feel at all times, of course, not at the detriment of others, but I'm very solid in that. And
Mhm.
recently it's been unraveling in, where it's like, are you really? Are you really? And so having to really grapple with that. And so
Yeah.
now today, even from a week ago, I can
Mhm.
say that I'm even more sovereign and free inside of myself than I was a week ago because it's just constantly happening and unfolding. But
Yeah.
so anyway, that was something he gave to me where it's like, this is what you need to get to this point. So I'm going to bring it through. And when I was pregnant, I could feel, I'm like, because I needed confirmation. In the beginning,
Mhm.
you kind of need that, right? You're just, is this
Everyone.
really happening? Right. Is this happening? Am I crazy? I made it up. I made it up. But when I am having an experience and I'm like, okay, I think I'm talking to somebody right now, or I think I'm automatic writing actually. And then my belly, he would just be kicking and moving all of a sudden like crazy. It's like, okay, I needed that. I
Mhm.
absolutely needed that. And so that was such a gift
Mhm.
that I got while pregnant with him. And I absolutely found that it was so much like I don't even hear things the way that I was hearing things when I was pregnant or freshly postpartum. when
Yeah.
when that veil is so thin and everything's so open. I was hearing my name all the time, like somebody really saying my name. It's not, clear audience, how it works is
I know.
a lot of times, right? It's your own voice a lot of the time, but it's not your voice.
I know.
This
I know
was
what you
right, yeah. But it's like this was not that. And
mean.
at one point I was hearing my name sounding like many people were speaking it at the same time, and just crazy stuff, hearing the knocking, of course, all the time, all these things. And that doesn't happen nearly as frequently as it did
Yeah.
when I was pregnant, and it's so interesting how everything shifts in this process. You
Yeah.
expect something to happen. It doesn't happen that way. Spoiler alert, everybody, it never happens that way. And always for a perfect reason. It's
Absolutely.
all by design. It's not up to us to know and to try to figure out, why can't I see everything? Why can't I, you know?
Mhm.
And
I mean,
it's
see the
sorry.
transformation you've had in the last year, how much you have grown and evolved in just the last year that I've known you.
Right. It's crazy. And you too, honestly. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
like it's cool because we can feel into it and
Yes.
see, like, I know this is available for me, but
Yes.
then to make the leap and actually start to actualize those things
Yes.
and then be on the other side of it, you're just kind of like, damn, that was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. I mean, but this is, I mean, the experiences you have shared with me and what you have been seeing, I'm like mind blown of what you experience.
It's it's really funny because that was my biggest like block, was that
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't see enough
Yeah.
because, and then of course I get paired up with you and I'm like, oh, this bitch is seeing everything. And I'm just over here like I was just, okay, so this is what I'm up against now. I'm gonna give her my rinky dink take on things. Like that's what's going through my head, you know?
Yeah. I was
And
sitting also.
right. I know we were all so scared. We're just like, oh God, I guess we'll do this.
I was like, you're gonna ask me about the Hawaiian trip you had. Well, I don't know, like what I can bring to the table.
Dude, so crazy. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, dang, she was seeing a turquoise wall, and that is literally the place we stayed in, which is hysterical. So cool. But
Information.
yeah, right. But but it was yeah, that was one of the biggest blocks for me, was that I
Yes.
couldn't see anything. And now I've finally realized that I am seeing stuff, but it's not the way I imagined I was
Mhm.
supposed to be seeing stuff. It's not like, they show whatever. They had that show, That's So Raven or whatever, and she would see a vision. And of course, it's a show. So they're playing it all out like a scene because it's a show. But that's what you think. That's how psychics work. They see the whole scene play out. That's how they see it. That's how people describe it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not
Not
right.
always like
Right. Okay. Thank you. And,
not always.
but when you're starting, it's like, oh, I'm not good enough because that's
Yeah.
not the way, And then I remember I was thrown into a past life that was like a witch wound past life, right? I told this story, I think, in class. And that played out like a movie.
Oh,
Like that was the craziest thing to this day that I've ever seen. I'm not quite sure that anything will top it ever. It was insane. And I think I talked about it in like the first episode of this podcast. I won't get super deep into it, but it was literally like I was a camera and I come in from the top of some trees and I can see everything and I'm down in it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's possible. But how come nothing else ever looks like that? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I'm like, real, why would you show me that? Why would you
Yeah.
guys show me this and not continue to deliver, And then I think, oh, maybe I'm not clear enough. Maybe my channel's not. So I start thinking it's something I'm doing wrong. And I got another reading done, I think. And I was asking about it. I'm like, okay, this is the name I heard. This is the time and place. Was it this? I don't know. I just don't know. And all of the answers to the questions were yes, stop second guessing yourself. You're making it not as clear.
Yeah.
You're muddying up your channel when you're so worried about needing more validation. And
Yes.
that was a big lesson for me because it's
Yeah.
hard to let go of, but I want it. I want validation because it's like everything needs to be proven type of thing. I need to see it to believe it. I need to It's very systematic and how we've been trained. So letting go of that is such a huge part, I feel like, of this work. It's just, yeah, you just kind of have to go along for the ride. Like, you just kind of do.
And that trust, but for most of us, it makes me sad because I see like I struggle with it myself, but I see so many very, very gifted, people with such strong clears
Yeah.
and then it's the same like I'm not good enough, I don't believe in myself, I don't trust in myself, and I've struggled my entire life with that myself,
Yeah.
not trusting. So this whole I need validation, I need confirmation, I need, someone telling me that this resonates, but and I sense that in myself, even in sessions, if I have a client that doesn't give me any confirmation, then I keep
Yeah.
thinking because I'm like, am I completely off track?
Totally.
So
Give me
I
some
actually,
direction.
yes, because I also don't, if I get some confirmation that, okay, this resonates, I don't have to kind of keep searching,
Yeah. Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
if that makes any sense, because then I'm like, okay, so okay, this resonates, and then I can kind of go deeper into it
I
instead,
was going to say you can see the through line a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Than having to kind of, so for me, it's very important with the dialogue with the client, where the client's
Yeah.
also giving you a feedback during, the session of, okay, this resonates. Yes, I have a wound here, or this is something I struggle with, or, "Oh, actually, this happened to me when I was 5 years old, that,
Hmm.
they give you a confirmation because I see that it speeds up the energy, but it also gets a flow moving, but also you can go
Yeah.
deeper than having to kind of like, okay, so nothing resonates here. If you have that energy,
Yes.
like you're searching for your earring in a big bush,
Yes.
like
Yes.
nothing
That's so
is
true.
like, it's just so. And when you have that insecurity, then I'm like, I need to take a breath sometimes, and I'm like, okay, just you gotta trust, you just gotta
That's so
take a
true.
breath and trust, because that insecurity, I think that comes from everyone,
Yeah,
that
I agree.
doubt and self-doubt and that feeling insecure, I think
Yeah,
it happens to the best of people.
I agree.
I So yeah, I'm just human, I still, I
Yeah,
still,
I know.
but at this,
There was a, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was finished.
Okay. There was this moment, and I did a workshop, an in-person workshop with a friend and a client of mine. And I did mini readings.
Mm.
And there were four people there. And I remember, but I think before the I was trying to talk through it with Lon. I'm like, I'm really nervous, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, but what's the worst case scenario? Truly. Like, it's gonna be fine. You got this, all this, whatever, hyping me up. And then I said, you're right, because the worst case scenario is that nothing comes through. But I know that if nothing comes through, it's not my channel because I do this every day. I do this all the time. So I know it's not that. I know that it would have something to do with them not letting me in or them doing something to the connection, right? On their part. And so I don't even need to worry about that. It's fine. So, of course, I go to the workshop and I get somebody there and nothing comes through for her at the beginning. Yeah, nothing. And I've never had this happen before. So I didn't even know what it would feel like if it did occur. But of course,
Yeah,
while it was happening, I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is it. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I just said, I was like, how are you feeling? She's like, I'm a little nervous. I said, yeah, I can tell because there's nothing, like nothing's here, nothing's coming through. And we just kept chatting a little bit. And then I could see her visibly relax. It was literally as if clouds parted and
Yeah.
everything just warmed up a little bit. It was
Yeah.
so amazing. Oh my God, it was so amazing. I'm like, that was what a beautiful moment. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, it was so interesting.
Mhm. That
So
which is
yeah.
is, is so cool. I'm seeing that myself, that some people who are very like, like you say, anxious or nervous, and
Mhm.
even sometimes when there's something really deep that they don't, maybe they're like, I don't want to look at it, but I'm like, I can feel it all the time. Like it needs to come up. It's like
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
a pull out of the bathtub.
Yes, like I could hear the cork, and
Yeah.
yes, yes,
And I'm
yes.
like waiting for it, but I need to dig kind of, and I need to take my time with it. And then when finally, you get that, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
You come to the root of it. That's when it's just pouring, the energies and everything comes in. But I'm also seeing that with people who are very nervous or like you say, not
Yeah.
open. You're just like, I don't know how many times I've had to like, okay, there's a lot of interference here. There's a lot of,
Totally.
I've even
Let me take a second. Let me take a second.
had my entire home having interference, people knocking on my door, birds screaming outside, cars making
Whoa, how interesting.
like in a couple of sessions where I've been like, okay, there's so much resistance here because I am
Right. The
tracked
resistance.
left and right.
That's
And the
crazy.
resistance is just, yeah, really
Through the
big.
roof. And you know what was so interesting about this too was uh I had that week I had seen a few people, and what had come through the records was that we can view anxiety as an extrasensory perception, that it's not
Mhm.
actually anxiety. But what it
Mhm.
is, it's that what you were describing about your childhood being too open,
Yes.
being so porous and not understanding that everywhere you go you're taking everything in and then you take it all with you. So a lot of the stuff you're feeling isn't even your own to feel, but when you don't have the understanding or verbiage, you take it on as your own. So now you're anxious, you feel, now you're identifying with all of that, right? And you're anxious. And so to start to separate it and see, okay, what is it trying to tell me? Is this even mine?
Yeah.
Where was I? Where was I about to go? Who was I about to see? And start to break it down in that way. Then you can start to notice it's not actually anxiety, but it's your intuition possibly, and just energy in general giving you information. So that had come up this week of the week of the workshop. And then I saw this chick there that was her issue. She's like, I'm very anxious. She almost didn't come. And what I was talking to her before, and I was saying all these things about basically what I just said to you, what had
Yeah.
been coming through. And then as I'm saying this, I can just see her face totally change. And she's like, well, I actually experience a lot of, she described like three psychic things that happened to her where she just knew certain things, and it was all very intense, right? Where just knew certain things about people that there's no way she should know. She predicted, and I shouldn't say predicted, but she was shown a vision of something happening and then it happened, these types of things. So she was floored, and also I think it really took her aback because it's like, wait a minute. No, I have anxiety. And then here I am over here telling her, actually, I think you might be a little psychic. And not a little, actually. I think you're psychic, like, period. You're really tapped in,
Yeah.
but you don't have any boundaries type of thing.
Probably
Um,
vibrations are very like out of balance, and some of them, the higher chakras are probably very open.
very open, right? Exactly. And so then she was the one that, when it came through the channel, totally was shut off. And I feel like it was a lot of that resistance too, because it's having to shut down an entire identity that you've put yourself into of, I'm an anxious person. This is how I move through the world. I overthink about everything. I can't do these, right? And now it's like, but wait, I'm actually just highly sensitive, and my psychic abilities are online. then you have to shift all this stuff around. And it's like, no, that doesn't fit into my life right now, though.
Label that I carry on my suit.
Right, exactly, exactly. I can't, no, I can't fit
Yeah.
that. I don't have any space for it. But
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly it. It's that resistance of
Yeah.
can't meet you there. I can't meet
Yeah.
myself there yet, quite yet. And it's just that big wall. But it's we can soften these things.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, I haven't spoken to her since, but I wonder how, because I feel like it goes either one of two ways, right? You get that information
Mm.
and you know, okay, that is how I operate. And that would be classified as psychic abilities, right? And so you go run the opposite direction, shut it down, and you get even more anxious. You get even more caught up in all that stuff in the, I'm going to push, push, push in the opposite direction. Or you kind of just surrender and let it take you wherever it takes you. I feel like there's no real in between because
Yeah.
that's such a big realization.
Yeah.
All this isn't my own, that you're either going to hide inside of it or completely bust out of it.
It's like putting the lid on a kettle with boiling water in and just pretending that it's not there.
Right.
The lid is gonna just
It's going to pop off eventually.
gonna pop off eventually.
Yeah.
And like, but I think it has to do with what I'm getting while we're talking about it is, we carry all these identities, and
Yeah.
she identified with something else,
Right.
and so she needs to, shift out of that identity and toss the anxious
Right. Yeah.
personality, and embrace that, okay, I'm actually gifted, sensitive,
Yes.
highly
Right.
sensitive, and taking in the world like a sponge.
Yeah.
you know Honestly, like for me, hearing that story, like I get it, because I looked at my own intuition and clear senses and sensitivity as a curse, like for so many years.
Mm,
I was like, it's a curse. I don't want it, you know.
yeah.
But now it's the complete opposite.
Right.
Like it's a gift and it's who I am. It's my it's who I am. It's a part of my identity. And I would
Right.
not be without it.
Right.
Like I would never be without it. It's such a huge part of me, and it's my compass.
Yeah. It
I am.
is.
It's like if you took away my spirituality, I'm sorry, like that, what would I be then? If you
Truly.
took that part away, like, but it has to do with, again, all these identifications that we put on all these labels and identities. And I honestly think when you talk about it, that the more she would embrace this part of her,
Mhm.
the less her body would scream into the anxious, you know, because she
Totally.
know herself, but her body is trying to get her to wake up as well.
Yep. It's just signaling something's
Yeah,
wrong. Yeah.
yeah.
We gotta, yeah.
When we're on a path and we are meant to go on a different path, we are somehow being pushed.
Yes, absolutely. That's so
Um,
funny. This is like exactly what I love to talk about and in my work, and it feels like the the main purpose of my what I'm here to do with people. It
yes,
really is just reconnecting you with yourself so that you, like you said, it's your compass. You
yeah,
are your compass.
yes,
Yes, and it's just that's how we came in, we with our soul as a compass, and then along the way shit's piled on and you can't see it,
yeah.
you know? And so that's the big work.
But I am 100% sure that you planted a seed for her. You
Thank you. I
planted
think so too. Yeah. I
now.
planted something. I'm sure I planted something. I mean,
Yeah, you did that energy work for her, and you planted a seed, and whatever time she needs to grow that,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
it will bloom in her over time when in her tempo.
Right, and her exactly when divine timing for her.
Yes.
Because yeah, and that's the coolest, the most interesting part about life, I feel like. You
Yeah.
know, we can push and pull and do all these things and plan and whatever. And then ultimately, at some point, you got to just put your hands up and say, okay, I did all the things. So now I have to just trust that I will be carried gently.
Hopefully.
I don't want to be on the rapids here. Yeah, right. Just trust that I put in the work that I needed to put in. Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I am so glad that we got to talk today.
Thank
I
you.
feel like this was a perfect ending, getting back to the seeing you in the sticky notes in the beginning and then being talking about the sticky notes again at the end. It's like we're here to bust everybody out of the boxes, ourselves included, because there's some stragglers every now and again. We just you notice a sticky note and you gotta, oh shit, I did not know that was still there. There's so many and they're so deep.
Yeah.
Um, but oh my gosh, I just love you. I'm so grateful that you did this with me.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. This has
Of
been
course.
so magical.
Right? First guest ever. Oh my gosh. And I know you'll be back. I know you
Look,
will.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh my
I am
gosh.
so excited to be back whenever that is the right time.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much for having me and for a magical talk. And I hope the listeners will enjoy it as well.
I hope so too. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.